So today we've got Richard and Marie with us. It says El Médano on the bottom of the screen, but they're actually at home in the UK at the moment. They spent some time with me now, and they bought a place in El Médano. Now, how long ago was that you bought that?
2015, so we've had it almost 5 years.
5 years, okay. And you use it because I had, with my previous interview, I had people that moved here permanently, but you use yours as a holiday home, don't you?
That's right, yes.
And you don't actually rent it out either, do you?
No, we just literally go over as often as we can, Simon, as many holidays as we can a year, and spend some quality time there. Right,
and I know you've both been over quite a few times, and it's 2015. That is quite some time ago now, isn't it? So just like everyone else, I've got I've lost them now. How about that? This is going to go out. I've got some questions I'd like to ask you. So when you start thinking about way back when, let's say 2013, 14, whatever it was, that you started thinking about buying a place in Spain or a foreign country, whatever, what do you think was your biggest fear?
Well, I think I think I can speak for both of us, really. The biggest fear was just really the unknown of it and the language barrier, I think, and not really knowing what we were getting into. I think the problem was we bought in England, so we knew what home ownership was all about, but we were quite concerned about the legal aspects of it and not being missold, I think, and following a due process, a process that was good for us.
Pretty much, yeah, sort of set out sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did you first start looking around for a property? What was the first steps that you guys made?
Well, I mean, we have been thinking about it for quite some time, watching a lot of these TV programmes about places in the sun, and we thought long and hard about where that might be, and thought about our criteria being a key thing being good weather as long as possible throughout the year. And I do recall very vividly Richard getting a map and pointing downwards, and he pointed at the Canaries and said, that's where you'll get all year round sunshine, that's where we'll look. So then we just started to do some online sort of searching to see who might be able to help us, and Richard came across yourself. And one of the first things that really impressed us was you had some details on your website that was really helpful about buying in the Canaries, and it had lots of useful information. And that's when you got in touch, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was what we liked was your online guide. I don't know whether it was booklet form then, or whether it was just bullet points on your website, but
it was a fair time ago, wasn't it, that one?
It was, yeah. So it was. We thought it was really valid information, and it allowed us to do our background work at home in the living room. And we sort of thought to ourselves, well, if someone's like yourself, an agent, has gone to the trouble of putting this together, then they must know what the process is and the due diligence that we would need to follow in order to see our apartment purchase through to a successful conclusion.
And a safe one as well.
You know what we wanted at the time, but we knew that we did want an apartment, but we didn't know how far our budget would stretch and what the implications of that would be. So that's when I think we got in contact with you. We'd gone with on a week's holiday to try and find out a little bit more about the island, but we were out of our depth, if I'm totally honest with you. We needed some help.
That was interesting you say that, because I was going to ask you how many times you'd actually been to Tenerife to actually, say, for example, come on holiday or do some research about areas that you liked.
Probably 2 or 3.
Two holiday weeks and 1 research week.
Yeah. I mean, we knew we looked around Tenerife. We had considered whether we might look at other Canary Islands, and we'd sort of thought about Sotavento and different things. But having come across and visited, we knew Tenerife had something for everyone, and it was very varied. And we decided, well, that's the place. Now we have to find someone to help us.
And it went downhill from there. No. I'm joking. So maybe from thinking about all of the things that maybe you were a bit scared about, what do you think was actually the easiest thing that you found that you thought might well be quite difficult?
To be quite honest with you, from my perspective, all of it was easier than I anticipated. I had thought it would be a much more onerous process. it was quite fairly straightforward, and with your help and with help of a lawyer who spoke good English, we found our way through quite quickly, didn't we?
Yeah, I think that was there's not much to add to that, really. I think it was your in-depth knowledge of what was needed to be done. I think your initial questioning of us ascertained what we wanted, and then I think you and I knew what I wanted of you, and I think you knew what
you were looking for. Yeah.
What we were looking for, and I think we have peace of mind. I think that we were being looked after.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I've got to say, and I should say to everyone else, this is not really a stage thing. I don't want smoke blown up my bum, but it's nice of you to say that. So thank you
That's
very
what
much.
it is. We're just telling you what our process was.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Tell me then, was there something that, now what did I write there? Was there something that you wish you'd have known before you bought something?
Yes, there was. It wasn't actually a problem for us, but we discovered along the way that obviously there are complexities about letting out properties in the Canaries. We had no idea at the outset that you either have to have one of these special licenses and you can only use an apartment so many weeks a year and let it out,
Yep.
or you have to you cannot let a place out in less than 3 months duration. We had no idea about that. To be fair, it wasn't ever our primary goal anyway, but once we realised that wasn't a possibility, then we had to really think about what kind of place was right for us, because initially we probably would have thought, okay, this is a holiday home for us, but maybe we'd look to rent it out as well, and then we soon discovered that wasn't possible in the same way as we might have envisaged. It's never been an issue because we're quite happy to keep it as our holiday home.
Exactly.
But it was something we hadn't realised, and to be honest, we probably learned more about it from reading your documentation. We had spoken to other people previously who never gave us any inkling of this issue,
Right.
never heard a word about it, and it was really from yourself that we first discovered what the rules looked like.
There was one thing I could possibly add to that. That was one area of concern, but something that came along after a couple of years. You hear a lot of people saying about the non-resident tax in Puesto non-resident, is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you start thinking, well, hey, what have I got myself into? Am I going to be exposed for tax reasons? Because, people like ourselves have to be very compliant with tax legislation and for business and so on and so forth. And that's something that is not an issue to be concerned about. It's very easily resolved through the lawyer that we got with you. And that guy, Santiago, is absolutely he's spot on with that type of tax advice, and it's not an awful lot of money for people to pay like ourselves each year for being compliant with that tax.
Exactly, it keeps you ahead of the game, doesn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
It does. Yeah. So that was two concerns really.
Two concerns, yeah.
One
concerns that we probably wouldn't have known were concerns in the first place,
Yes.
until we discussed them,
Yeah,
or until we
right on.
discovered them.
Yeah.
But as it is, again, it was straightforward.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got two more questions for you. Do you think you actually made a mistake during the whole thing? What would you think? If you had a big mistake, what would be your biggest mistake that you made? Maybe you haven't got one.
I think if we word it as regret, nothing.
Okay.
I think we both agree that it's the best thing we ever did. Only regret is if we hadn't done it sooner, because we've been watching those programmes for years,
Right.
and we finally did it. It's been wonderful. We've absolutely loved having our holiday place. It's been marvellous. Mistake? I don't think really there were any mistakes, were there?
No, we've had our journey's been good. We've got no negatives. I think we decided to buy on a Spanish residential complex.
Yeah.
That was a huge plus for us, because one, we could enjoy the culture, so we'd had fiestas there and things like that, enjoying that type of thing, and we don't experience the heavy tourist volume where we are.
Yeah.
So for us, it's worked out perfectly. So we enjoy the area, and it was just right for us. Yeah, so I haven't got any negatives.
Of course, you're allowed to rent out, for an income charge, and if you like, to your friends and family. So I guess do they come over? Do you let them come over?
Yeah, I mean, we don't charge them, but yes, we've had a number of family and friends have used it, sometimes with us, and sometimes they go over and use it when we're not there because it's empty, so why not? So, yeah, so a few family members have enjoyed the time, haven't they?
Yeah, the interesting thing is what we found straight away, the apartment next to us is still being rented out, but it's on a long-term let.
Oh, that's fine, yeah. That's okay.
It's on a 6-monthly, and we do see different families in there for 6 months at a time, but we don't want to do that. But if you wanted to rent out, the 6 months option is there for you to do that.
Yeah.
Lots of people, for instance, Loss of Briegel Property Group would help out in that respect if anybody, is looking to do that sort of thing.
Something like that. Great. Okay. And I've got one more question here. Then we were just talking earlier about family and friends. So if your best friend or one of your family members were thinking about buying a property in Tenerife, what would your top tip be?
That's a good question. I mean, some of it obviously will come down to their own particular needs and tastes, because younger people might have a different requirement. So like our grown-up children would probably want to be nearer more touristy areas than maybe we would. So it would depend. But for me, I think a sea view. But that's my own preference.
Of course.
You've got to be able to see the sea. If you go there, be able to see the sea. But like everybody's different.
Absolutely.
What about you? Do you have a tip?
From the perspective of buying, I think it's absolutely imperative you get yourself an English-speaking agent like yourself, and there are different agents around the island that can help out in that respect.
Yeah.
And from a reputable lawyer, abogado,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And get them to liaise with you and work with you and take their advice and follow it.
Exactly.
And also as well, I think what helped us out a lot was the power of attorney.
Yes, because we couldn't always be there.
Yeah. So actually, I should just say that, although you did get a power of attorney, the power of attorney can be cancelled at any time. So if anyone thinks, oh no, that lawyer, I don't want to deal with them anymore or whatever, they can easily just is it rescinded, they call it?
Yes.
Anyway, it can be cancelled at any time. So, okay, that's a good point. So, those were my two last questions. Do you think that I should have asked you another question? Were you expecting a different question?
No, I can't think of anything.
I would say I think the island is so varied, and I think from anybody who's looking to buy, what they perceive as being a second home or a holiday home, a retirement home, has a lot of different criteria. So what they might feel that they like on holiday is not necessarily what they want for a long-term purchase or a long-term or an investment property. So I think those considerations have to be really looked into, before, so that you know exactly what you're looking for when you get over to the island, because it is so diverse.
But I think in terms of what I remember from, although I wasn't there when Richard was doing a lot of the viewings, he was obviously with yourself, Simon. I think you were quite intuitive as to understanding what it was we were looking for, even when we probably didn't quite know ourselves. And I think we're able to steer us into some good directions. And actually, I think if I remember rightly, Richard told me that you said, I won't bother taking you to see this one because I know it's not going to be right for you.
But that wasn't the one you bought, was it? Or was it?
It wasn't the one we bought,
no. That's right. I was going to say.
It was another one that I think you'd assessed from the criteria that it wouldn't be quite right.
I don't think we looked at any bad. I didn't look at any bad properties.
No.
I thought they were all very nice properties and people that were in a good position to sell. But it was a no-brainer for us. For our complex, It fitted exactly what we wanted.
Yeah.
In fact, that area's grown up now. Grown up brilliantly since you bought, hasn't it?
Hasn't it?
You've got a supermarket across the road, and it's amazing.
Yes, it's very, very nice, and we love it. And the very large hotel is now going in, which I think is going to. It's a 5-star hotel, so it'll bring some nice clientele to the to the area.
It can only improve, can't it? Absolutely. I mean, not that it was a bad place at all, but I do remember actually, because the actual name of the area that you bought in is Sotavento, and of course El Médano and Sotavento is really quite a windy area, so although I didn't want to put you off, I think I probably said you just need to be really aware that it's quite windy at times. So has that actually ever put you off at all?
No, it's been a plus.
It's plus,
we
definite.
like it.
Yeah.
We really like the fact that you get nice breezes there.
It's lovely.
So sometimes when it's very hot, the cooling breeze is great. So we've never had any qualms about that.
And also as well, although just the area around there people shouldn't be put off by the wind, because there's people you can go for walks and see the kite surfing.
Sure.
I like to do the bodyboarding in the waves.
Yeah.
It's got some nice sandy areas around that area.
Yeah.
And good snorkeling. As you know, I like the snorkeling, and it's very, very good around there.
And the pirate bar.
And the pirate
And the
bar.
pirate bar.
Yeah.
May long it last.
So it's got everything that we need, and I think it's a nice walk along in the evening to El Médano or Los Abrigo, either along the beach or along the road, or €5 in a taxi to Los Abrigo. Very nice.
Yeah, and I walk back. Yeah, well, I'm really pleased for you, and I'm really thankful for you to spend some time with me. So to give me your insights.
Well, thank you as well. It's a pleasure, and we hope that more people benefit from your help and support like we have in the future.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Cheers for now.
Bye for now, Simon.
Thanks,
Bye.
Simon. Nice talking to you again.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.